at Flinders. And I want to introduce you to one of my students, Jordan, who's pictured there on the screen, who I know is passionate about human rights and international law. So we've got nearly 30 minutes together, and we'll be stepping through an introduction and overview, talking about why you might want to study law, some careers in law, and what's so great about studying here at Flinders. We'll go through some course details briefly, and then there's time for a Q&A if you want some of your questions answered. But first, and most importantly, I want to recognise that Flinders University operates on the traditional lands and waters of 13 First Nations peoples. And I want to acknowledge their continued responsibility to care for country at each of those locations. Today, I'm standing and talking to you from Kaurna land, and I pay my respects to Kaurna elders past and present. And I also want to acknowledge any other Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people who may be joining us today. So why study law? Well, first of all, I want to introduce you to Chloe here. So Chloe has had a role in our Law Students Association as Director of our competitions, and she's pictured here in our law library. In fact, in our old law library, an old part of the law library with lots of books. But law is about so much more than just reading. In fact, what law is really about is solving problems. Solving complex problems, solving new problems, solving problems about how we get on with each other, how we trade with each other, how we negotiate international borders, how we manage our rights and obligations, how we protect our liberties, how we protect the vulnerable, how we assert our legal rights under contracts. Law really is about solving problems. And here at Flinders, we have a deep social justice ethos embedded in all we do. And we believe that law is also about advocating for justice and for human rights. And so as a legal professional, you'll be able to work in a field that can take you anywhere. And I want to give you just a few examples as we go through today. So yes, you might want to study law if you're good at reading, if you're good at writing, and if you've been told over and over again, you're fantastic at debating and arguing, you should study law. But really, it's so much more. If you're someone who wants to think critically about the big challenges our world is facing, who wants to take a part in solving those problems and moving forward, then you need to think about studying law. So only a few months ago, Urbis released the 2020 National Profile of Solicitors. And the data is clear. The Australian legal profession continues to experience strong growth. And in fact, in the past 9 years, there's been a 45% increase in the number of solicitors practicing in Australia. But we know beyond that, many of our graduates don't end up in a traditional pathway. They might go on, study law, obtain their qualifications, be admitted as a barrister or a solicitor, but then go on to all sorts of other fields. So where can a law degree take you? Well, you don't have to wait until you graduate. In fact, right here now, we've got students who are undertaking internships with Aboriginal legal services all around the country, or they were prior to COVID. In fact, I was speaking to a student yesterday who's just been through 3 weeks of lockdown in various states as she's been returning from that internship. We've got students right now who are working for a law firm. You might have seen a recent media article on coronial inquest work whilst they're still studying. And with a former honours student from Flinders University, in the last week or so, we've had a student who's really been hitting the international airwaves, sharing her really fascinating honours research around sex robots. So a law degree can take you a lot of places, and not just when you graduate. It can take you there whilst you're studying. What do future careers look like? Well, there's a whole list of occupations here on the screen. The traditional occupations of lawyer or graduate solicitor, barrister, federal prosecutor, doing analysis work, being a policy officer, being an advisor. And employers might include law firms, companies, international agencies, government departments, not-for-profit agencies, and increasingly thinking about the law tech and fintech and reg tech space. So this is just a few of our students and where they've gone. We've got Flinders Law graduates working in the Department of Premier and Cabinet in Canberra. One of our graduates is a General Counsel for Afterpay in the UK. Some of our graduates have become politicians. Our graduates are now CEOs of corporate and not-for-profit entities or managing partners of law firms, and I'm going to introduce you to one of those shortly. We have our first members of the judiciary, and we also have one of our graduates who's sitting as legal advisor for Legal Action Worldwide based in Kenya as a humanitarian observer. One of our former students was a consultant to the government of Nepal regarding drafting their constitution. So the world really is your oyster. We've got students who are elite sports player agents. We've got lawyers who are working for the Aboriginal Legal Service in the Northern Territory. And we've got many, many other options besides. So a law degree really can take you absolutely anywhere. So why study at Flinders? Well, first of all, we have a beautiful campus, absolutely beautiful. And so it's a great community feel. And we've got students back on campus here enjoying university life despite our COVID restrictions right now. We give you all that you need as part of a traditional legal training. All of those topics that are necessary for admission to legal practice, we study, and you'll be doing those really rigorously. Throughout our degree, we embed the skills necessary for you to be admitted as a practitioner. Skills like interviewing, examining witnesses, advocacy, drafting legal documents, writing legal letters, negotiating, managing costs, and understanding your ethical obligations. All of that is threaded throughout your degree here in South Australia. You'll get personalised support from our staff, from the university, and amongst your peers. At Flinders Law, you'll undertake a number of professional placements. You'll have the opportunity in first year to undertake a first year clinic placement at Flinders Legal Centre. In second year, you'll have the opportunity to work with real clients on real problems in both of our exciting new topics, law in a digital age and law in action, getting experience at managing client expectations and delivering legal advice and solutions. Our curriculum is future focused, and I'm really proud to say that our law degree here at Flinders is one of the most innovative in the country, if not in the world. We incorporate some new topics that are designed to equip you for the rapid change that the legal sector is undergoing, not only here in Australia, but worldwide, and to give you a real advantage, put you right at the cutting edge of those developments. And of course, in this day, post-COVID, there's lots of flexible options for you to study. So I want to introduce you now to some of our degrees and some of our students. This is Hari. So Hari came to study at Flinders, having already obtained a medical science degree. So he came in as a graduate student, participated in our undergraduate degree. He's now graduated and he's working for the Australian Federal Police. Our Bachelor of Laws degree satisfies all of the academic components necessary for admission to legal practice in South Australia and in other states. So let me take you through some of the highlights of that degree. It covers all of what are known as the priestly 11 topics, those 11 areas of law that have been set out as all the disciplines of law that are needed to be admitted as a practitioner. It also covers a wide range of specially curated topics to give you breadth and experience in a wide range of areas of law. 3.5 years full time. There are no prerequisites. You don't have to have studied anything at school before you come, and there's a combined honours stream available. So honours in law is a little bit different to in other disciplines. You will do 3 topics and do a 13,000 word dissertation with us. And I've been really excited to see some of the amazing work that our honours students are doing. So in the last few years, we've had honours students who've published their research on areas as diverse as deep fakes and what the legal implications are if deepfakes are used to impersonate police, the privacy implications of driverless cars and what happens to all that data, the legal implications of sex robots, as I've just mentioned earlier, queries around cultural loss in native title claims and how the law might assess those, and compensation for psychiatric harm from elder abuse. So some really significant topics that are touching on the boundaries of legal knowledge and creating new legal knowledge, and we're very proud of what our students are achieving. But I'd like to introduce you here to Daniel. So Daniel is one of our graduates, and I had the pleasure of teaching him many years ago. After he graduated, he worked here in South Australia for a while, but he's from a refugee background, and he became aware of some of the issues that were happening in Victoria in relation to young people and young people with African heritage. And so he decided to move to Victoria and do something about it. He worked for a criminal defence firm. He worked for Victorian Legal Aid. He was involved in setting up their night court there. And more recently, he started his own law firm. And now he's in fact employing other Flinders law graduates. And one of his best mates at university, Nick, is based in a regional centre in South Australia. And they went through together, and now Nick too has set up his own firm, really developing a place in his country connection. And I remember a time when I spoke to Nick many years ago when he started his law degree, and I asked him in 3 words to describe himself: a farm boy. And so for him, it was a big change to come from his country home in regional South Australia and come and study at Flinders. But he had the opportunity to live at our hall on campus and really got to know other students. And look at what a success he has been now, returning to that country area, setting up his own firm and doing really well. So I've touched already on some of the wide range of topics that we're doing. And you can see there on the screen, we've put those into innovative and traditional. First of all, I'd like to talk to you about what we might call our traditional curriculum, although I don't even think that's too traditional. I think that covers the rigorous areas that we need to know, but we do it in a really exciting way. So in your first year, you will encounter issues around ethics and professionalism. What does it mean to be a legal professional? How might we think through some of those things? You'll also study a topic, Indigenous peoples, colonialism and the law, so that you can get insight into how the law has impacted Indigenous people in this country and more broadly, the impacts of colonialism in relation to removal of land, dispossession, etc. And those impacts continue to play out. A really good foundation for understanding many future areas of the law that you'll study. You'll also undertake in your first year a topic, international law and global perspectives, because we understand at the moment that the world is a really connected place. Even though many of us are not travelling at the moment due to COVID, we still are operating in an international environment. And it's important for legal professionals to really understand that context. And you'll get your first taste of what you might call a black letter law topic, criminal law and procedure. But alongside those rigorous traditional legal topics, we also have some very exciting, innovative topics that you'll undertake. In your first year, you will undertake legal innovation and creative thinking, really getting exposed to some of the changes that are happening in the sector and how you can think differently about where your career might take you, giving you rigorous skills in innovation and entrepreneurship in the legal context. We also embed that very much in the social justice ethos, as I mentioned earlier. And so you'll undertake a topic called Innovation for Social Justice Impact, where you'll start to explore how making small changes in the way that we think about how legal services are provided can have huge social justice impacts. In your second year, you'll undertake a topic called Law in a Digital Age. We're very proud of this topic. You'll collaborate with computer science students, which is a first as far as I'm aware anywhere in the world. You'll work with a not-for-profit client who comes to you with a legal pain point. And as you manage that client through the semester, you'll understand more about how the law impacts the work that they do for vulnerable people. and you'll work together with them and your computer science colleagues to generate solutions to that legal problem using open source software. So far, our students have developed nearly 30 legal software applications for almost 30 not-for-profit clients. And some of those, 5 of those are being implemented and operating in the real world, and others are in the process of that happening at the moment. Enormously exciting opportunity for you to start making a real impact, a scalable impact, a demonstrable impact during the course of your law studies, and placing you at the cutting edge. And in fact, this photograph is a photograph of the students who collaborated last semester to build a legal application for people who use assistance animals. And as they spent their time with their client, they discovered that people who use assistance animals often are refused entry to public transport or to taxis or to Ubers or other rideshare services. So they call a service, the service arrives, and as soon as they see they have an assistance animal, the driver might drive away. Now, there are opportunities for people to complain about that, but in such a distressing situation, people often forget to record the number of the car or forget to make a report. And so what these students have done is developed an application that allows people who use assistance animals and who find that they've been refused service to instantly record that so that it helps them make a complaint about that, protecting their legal rights. This is actually about using our skills and our knowledge and innovative ways of addressing discrimination, making the law more accessible to people and protecting people's rights. I'm very proud of what these and other students in Law in a Digital Age are doing. We also have students who are collaborating with a wide range of external partners in our Law in Action topic. So we've got collaborations through Flinders Legal Centre, with Community Justice Centre, with various other providers. We have our students who have been sought out now to be employed by future-focused firms on the basis of the skills that they're learning in Law in a Digital Age. We've got students who are now being involved with the Boston Suffolk University in the US on the Massachusetts Access to Justice project, using the skills that they're learning at Flinders that they can't learn at any other Australian law school on an international Access to Justice project. And I'm pretty proud of that. So there's multiple opportunities to study law at Flinders. We have 4 offerings: our Bachelor of Laws, a Juris Doctor, an Honours Pathway, or a Master of Laws, International Relations. This is Megan. She was one of our very first Juris Doctor students. She was a policy officer in health administration, and she wanted to enhance her career. So she came and studied our Juris Doctor, which is entirely online. So it's pitched at a postgraduate level, gives you all of the academic knowledge about the law that you need to seek admission. You'll need to go on and seek further practical competencies before you can be admitted. But think about this as an opportunity for career enhancement or career change. You need to already have another degree. And it was designed 100% online from the ground up, using really innovative problem-based learning approach that puts you right at the heart of solving people's legal problems from day one. Our Masters of Law and International Relations is an opportunity for you to skill up further in the international law context. You don't need to have a law degree to enrol in this degree. Any other degree will be useful. And if you're interested in international development, international relations, or working perhaps in aid and development, or in the legal context, you should consider our Masters of Law. Again, entirely online, designed to be entirely online to enable you to enrol and study flexibly from wherever you are in Australia. And as I said, you don't need to have a law degree already. It equips you with the skills that you're looking for in international relations, diplomacy, defence, foreign affairs and trade. Many of our students doing our undergraduate law degree combine their law degree with other degrees, and there's lots of options here. Very common are international business, international relations and political science, accounting and business. Those are very common ones, but increasingly we're seeing a really broad range, including students pairing law with nanotechnology, law with sustainability, and a wide range of degrees. So how do you apply? There's information here. I'm sure it's all familiar to you. You apply through the SATAC, South Australian Tertiary Admissions Centre. Make a careful note there of the closing date, the 30th of September, and the late fee closing date, the 1st of December. You can find out a whole lot more about what we're doing here at Flinders on Flinders Open Days 365. The URL is there, and I encourage you to visit that website and have a look around. There's lots of really interesting information there. And of course, our Open Days coming up on Saturday, the 21st of August. I'll be giving a number of sessions that will help you dive deeper into some of the things that we're doing here at Law, and you'll get the opportunity to meet some of our students, including demonstrating some of the amazing projects that they've been working on. So I hope that I could see you on the 21st. And now really over to you for questions or anything else that you'd like to find out about Flinders.
Hi Tanya, thank you for that wonderful presentation. We have had a question come through from a prospective student named Mark. Mark would like to know, how is the Flinders Law degree innovative?
How is it innovative? Well, I can tell you that there is no other law degree in Australia that I'm aware of where all students have the opportunity to undertake specific training in legal innovation, specific training in innovation with a social justice focus, and learn to develop legal applications on open source software. Sure, there are other law schools around the country where there might be one or two of those topics available as options only, but we are on about equipping our students for the future that we can see. We've got our ear really close to the ground, and we're watching carefully the changes that are happening in our sector. And so we're on about making sure that our students have a really rigorous intellectual training in law, but that they have the skills that they're going to need to survive and really thrive in a changing world. Thanks for your question, Mark, and I hope that's answered it.
Thanks, Tanya. We have had one more question come through from a prospective student named Christina. Christina would like to know, how many professional placements do students undertake?
Thanks very much, Christina, for your question. So it's really important to us here at Flinders that students can make the connection between their studies and real life as soon as possible. So in your first year, you can have the opportunity to undertake a first year clinic placement program at Flinders Legal Centres, where you'll work with more senior students and the supervisors and get an exposure to what life is like in a community legal centre. You'll be able to sit in on interviews, and you'll be able to do some work on some of those files under close supervision. In second year, you'll have the opportunity, as I've said, in Law in a Digital Age, to work with a not-for-profit client as part of a group of students. And also in Law in Action, you'll undertake a semester-long, 1 day a week per semester, for each week of the semester placement as part of Law in Action. You might be placed at Flinders Legal Centre, where you might be seeing real clients and providing real advice. You might be working on a project like some of our students now on bushfire recovery. How can we create legal resources to help our community be more resilient in the face of natural disasters? Or you might be working with one of our external partners, like the Family Law Pathways Network or Community Justice Centres of SA down at Christie's Beach, or a variety of other options. So that's 3. And the final one is for students who are seeking admission and undertaking their practical legal training. You'll undertake 6 weeks full-time placement in a law-related environment, usually at a law firm. And that works out to be about 225 hours of placement, where you'll really have the opportunity to find out what life as a lawyer is really like. You'll undertake a number of legal tasks, and we're finding that many of our students, as a result of that placement, can obtain employment either at the agency where they've done their placement or through the connections they build during that time. Thanks very much, Christina, for that question, and I hope that's answered it.
Thanks, Tanya. We have time for one more question that's come through from Oliver. Oliver would like to know, Is it easy to move to another state and practice as a graduate with a degree from Flinders?
Yes, it is. And many of our students have moved all over Australia. So there's a piece of legislation which I won't bore you with here, but if you graduate from Flinders and are admitted in South Australia, then you can get recognition in other states as well. You'll simply need to go through the process in that other state. So there's no problem about moving around Australia. It's a little bit more difficult if you're moving to other countries, but we've got students who are admitted at the New York bar, for example. We've got a number of students in the UK. We've got students in Singapore. We've got students, in fact, everywhere.
Thank you for that response, Tanya. And that was all we had time for tonight.
Thank you very much for joining me, and I do hope I can meet you one day here at Flinders Law.